My name is Lisa, and I'm with Friends Life Care Partners. Today, Friends Life Care staff would like to send you some holiday cheer. We will each take an opportunity to answer a question about what the holidays mean to us. I'll start with sharing about an aroma that triggers a happy memory for me. When I was 20 years old, I had the opportunity to live in Holland for a year through a program with the Mennonite Central Committee. For the first 6 months I lived in The Hague, I was a nanny for 3 young children. We were going to spend Christmas Day at a log cabin built by Baron, the husband's father, during World War II. I was told we would leave early Christmas morning. I had set my alarm to get up early, but a sweet surprise happened before I got up. As the sun was coming up and I was still sleeping, I heard someone singing while coming up the stairs. My room was on the 3rd floor. As the singing got closer, I realized the song was Silent Night, being sung in Dutch. My door opened, and Wilhelmina, the mom of the family, came in singing the song very softly while putting down a tray of clementines, a cup of fresh coffee, and a croissant down by my bedside. She opened my curtains, still singing, turned around, and sang all the way back down the stairs. To this day, whenever I have clementines or croissants, it brings back that sweet memory for me. That was the beginning of a really magical holiday, but that's a story for another time. Now let's hear from some of the other staff about what the holidays mean for them. Haley?
So I had a hard time choosing a favorite childhood memory. So I want to talk about 2 because I feel like they're kind of related. When I was a little kid, I could not sleep on Christmas Eve. And one year I literally went into my parents' bedroom at 3 in the morning thinking like, hey, it's AM, like we can get up and open presents now, right? So of course they kicked me out, but my older brother let me come in his room and we read a pop-up book together of Halley's Comet, very fitting. So I continued with that, for a couple more years, but then I was able to sleep in. And then when I was in high school, I was probably 16 or 17. My dad came running in at 6 in the morning to say, guys, it's Christmas morning. We have to get up. So he really got me back for that one. Kate?
Thanks, Haley. I have more of a holiday mishap, and I was probably 7, 8, or 9, and the big rage was Cabbage Patch dolls. You might have seen it on TV where the parents were tackling the store clerks to get their children that they loved so much the Cabbage Patch doll. And my Santa wish list had a redheaded girl with green eyes. And that's the only thing I asked for that year, and I did not receive it. And I was quietly weeping Christmas morning because I got a knockoff, still gets me, knockoff Cabbage Patch doll. And so then my father was alerted to my weeping and started yelling at me that I was ungrateful and what a brat I was. And then I started sobbing and heaving I now felt terrible, and I was a terrible child on Christmas morning. And I eventually collected myself. But in my later 20s, my mother found a Cabbage Patch doll at a secondhand store. And so I did receive a brunette because she couldn't get me a redhead. And so I don't actually know where that Cabbage Patch doll is nowadays. And so my family brings it up, I wouldn't say every single year, but with some routine. They bring up my ungratefulness on Christmas morning when I was about 7, and that story will never go away. Jayne, how about you?
So I had a really difficult time about 10 years ago with the holidays. As a newly married couple, we had to decorate our house. And I grew up with a beautiful live Christmas tree with white lights and beautiful decorations. And my husband grew up with a fake tree and colored lights and beautiful decorations. And so that wasn't our first fight, and not our last, But what should we do? And so to this day, our compromise has been a real tree, because I need that smell of Christmas in a real tree, with colored lights. And I'm happy to say that that compromise has stood the 10 years that we've been married. However, every year the question comes up, what kind of tree should we get? What kind of light should we get? And I am embarrassed to say I often try to hide the colored lights, but my husband has found them every single year. And so at my house, you will find a real tree with colored lights. And hopefully one day that compromise will turn into a real tree with white lights, but don't tell my husband. Nick, how about you?
Thank you, Jane. For me, I think my favorite childhood memory is waking up early, sitting on the steps and waiting for my mother to get everything ready, setting up the camera to film the festivities, rearranging the living room since Santa brought so many gifts, and turning on the holly jolly music. Now that I'm older and my mother's no longer with us, I think waiting for Christmas to start was my favorite memory. Thank you. Now to you, Linda.
Thanks, Nick. I love snow. I have all my life. Even as a child, I used to love to go out in the snow. And it wasn't just that school was canceled, of course. It was just being out there, building snowmen, sledding, all that kind of stuff. And as I have gotten older, I still love getting out there, even if it means it's just to shovel that snow. Look, I understand the problems around snow, but I look at it beyond that. I look at the poetry, the beauty, the wonder of snow. From the aesthetics to the science, to me, snow is amazing. It creates this enchanting world. The whole world around me is covered by this fluffy blanket, and it's a place where my steps are the very first ones in this wondrous new world. Even in cities, you think about it, the snow covers the dirt and trash with this sparkling garment, even if it's just for a moment before it turns slushy and ugly. I live in that moment and enjoy the snow. So, Roseanne, how about you?
I wanted to talk about whether or not to buy into the commercialism of Elf on the shelf or Mensch on the bench. Is it worth it? So initially I had ordered an Elf. It came in the mail. I had no idea what I was getting. And I ended up purchasing it for my oldest. And this is Buddy. Buddy is a tan elf. And so as Christmases passed, I had more children, and the biggest fear is, where did I put Buddy to hide for the next year? So year after year, my kids just anticipated waiting for this elf to come. And they kept getting earlier and earlier. The pressure is on. I mean, right after Thanksgiving, parents are talking about bringing out their elf, and I had no idea where mine was. So I ordered a new one, and the new one came, and she is not tan. She is a she. We call her Mary, and she's white. And so my kids were looking for Buddy, which I couldn't find. I had no idea. Anyhow, we found Buddy. He came and said that Mary was his girlfriend. The point is, Elf on the Shelf, don't buy into it. It's just too difficult for parents during the holiday season. I decided to get Santa's hotline number, and that number is 319-527-2680. That is for all the parents and grandparents out there who are watching their grandkids. Call Santa directly. Skip the elf. It's not worth the pressure. Gina, what's your favorite memory?
So I wanted to talk about my two favorite Christmas decorations. They're both related to my grandmother, and I really cherish them. So she passed away in February of 2019, and Christmas was her favorite time of the year. She had 11 children, 29 grandchildren, and I think we're now up to 32 great-grandchildren, but I'm not positive about that number. But before she died, she knit 55 personalized stockings over a 40-year period. Each one had a grandchild and great-grandchild's name. Her kids didn't get them for some reason. She started it after the first grandchild was born. So my stocking is really special to me, and it's been hung up every year since I was born. And then last Christmas, one of my cousins had ornaments made for us that have the word love in my grandmother's signature on them. And it's by far my favorite ornament for the tree. I don't have my stocking out yet, but I wanted to show you my ornament. This has her signature on it. Elise, how about you?
So my mother is a concert pianist, and my sister and I both played the violin. So my favorite childhood memory was standing around the piano, and we would sing and play Christmas carols for hours and hours on Christmas Eve. That was even, I think it was more special than even opening the presents. We just really enjoyed that. Through the years, for many years, we did that. My mother's 94 now, and so she can no longer play the piano. My sister and I both stopped playing the violin, but we still love Christmas carols. And sadly, I won't be able to see her this Christmas, but we'll find a way to play some music for her so she can enjoy Christmas carols. Gail?
Thanks, Elise. I think my favorite childhood memory was the anticipation on Christmas Eve. Every year we had a tradition of I had 4 siblings, but all 7 of us would hop in the car and we would drive around Greensboro, North Carolina, and we would look at the lights. And there was one insurance company that had this huge display on their campus, and that was always our end destination. But we'd look at the lights all along the way, and we would listen to the radar on the radio of where Santa was. And when we would hear that Santa was getting close by, we would beg my dad to take us home. Please take us home, because we don't want to be awake when Santa comes and we'll miss him. So we would go home, and my dad would say, we have time to open one present. So we each opened one present on Christmas Eve. And one year in particular, 5 of us were born in 8 years. So we were pretty close in age. One year we pushed the twin beds together in the room I shared with my sister, and all 5 of us slept. We didn't really sleep too much, but we were all in the twin beds, and we were just so excited. And I just remember how much fun that was. So that's a wonderful memory for me. So Beth, how about you?
Hi. So my memory is actually a post-Christmas memory, and I'm going to speak about a memorable snowstorm. And it was kind of a toss-up between the blizzard of 78 and then the blizzard of 96. But I picked the blizzard of 96, which was 25 years ago, this January. And my husband and I had just started dating. And I was living in Washington working for the Red Cross. He was in graduate school in Charlottesville. And somehow that weekend, we were invited to friends in North Carolina. We're going to see Doc Watson at the Carolina Theater in Durham. And it was one of those days in North Carolina in the winter, which was like a balmy 75 degrees. Like we were in shorts and T-shirts when we went into the concert. And when we got out, there was about 1.5 feet of snow on the ground. So we ended up actually sledding that night after the concert with a group of people, which was super fun. And then we were supposed to drive home, and what was supposed to have been a 5-hour drive back the next day basically turned into a 5-day odyssey of trying to get back from North Carolina to DC by way of Richmond and then Charlottesville. And it was, at the time we were 27 years old and fearless. And so at one point we were out there on 95, and we were literally the only car on the road for miles. And you couldn't see anything. You could see, but all you could see was white, and you couldn't hear anything. It was just pure silence, and it was wonderful and just a great memory. And I, don't know if I would be as fearless at this point in my life, but it was a great memory. And Ellen.
I'm going to talk about my Christmas list. And this year we are doing things a little different with my family. I have a small family, but we all decided to pick 3 3 to 4 things that we wanted for Christmas to keep things a little bit smaller and also to decrease the load on the delivery system. So my gifts are more functional that I'm asking for this year. I would like vintage coasters, a wool bike jersey, and an Amish heater. And if you don't know what an Amish heater is, there's a great New York Times article on the Amish heater, and it's called Roll and Glow, A Tale of the Amish Heater. So you can check that out. And then actually, in addition to the 3 items or 4 items, we're all picking a charity that we would like each other to donate to. And I will say, I don't believe I'm getting any coal this year. I have gotten it in the past, but I don't think I'm getting any coal this year. And I believe Maureen's next.
Thanks, Ellen. So I'm going to talk about the dilemma about a real tree versus an artificial tree. So just like Jayne, you know, it is a dilemma, and it has been when I was, over the years when I was younger. But I grew up on in the woods, and I lived in a log cabin, and we used to go out. My dad used to take us out hunting for our Christmas tree, which was so cool. I mean, talk about a really good memory. But so, I mean, we were really, really into having, we had to have a real tree all the time. But I have to tell you, I think there's an inverse relationship between your age and your tolerance to having a real tree. So, you know, when you're younger, you can tolerate it and it's all cool and you're all festive and everything and you want to do it. But as you get older, you don't like the mess. You don't want to, you know, you don't want to clean it up, and it's a mess and it's a pain, and your kids don't care anymore. And it's like, whatever, you know. I'm not gonna deal with this mess. And I mean, I've had trees fall on me. I'm the one always doing all the work, getting under the tree, watering it, forgetting to water it. It dries out. The needles are all in the ground and everything. So, you know, my kids are now 20 and they're adults now. And it's like, here we go. I'm at a ceramic tree point. Here we are. This is my tree. So I hope that answers that dilemma and that problem. So Jayne, good luck to you. And, you know, probably as you get older, you might be getting one of these. So, okay. And on to you, Elizabeth.
So my favorite Christmas tradition dates from when my kids were small, and they are 34 and 38 now. So this goes back a ways. On Christmas Eve, after midnight mass, but before bed, they were each allowed to open one gift. But before they were allowed to open their gifts, my husband always read 2 stories. One was the New Testament account of the birth of the baby Jesus, of course. The other was The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg. And this is a wonderful story about a young boy who takes a train trip filled with other children to the North Pole right before Christmas. And the illustrations and the words are just magical. I love this book and can never get through the last few pages without crying. I'll probably cry now. But the reason I love this tradition is because my kids loved this tradition for such a long time. Not because they were transported by the story, but because they couldn't wait to see when Mom would start crying. I've outgrown this tradition now, but I think our oldest grandchild is just about the right age for us to dig it up again.
Everybody, happy holidays. So I have 2 nice memories I'd like to talk about. One was when I was first married to my husband, Nick, and we're a blended family. We participate in a family Hanukkah party that actually started over 90 years ago. And my sister and brother-in-law host it now. And one of our favorite memories is the year that I found a red wire fire truck menorah. And so that is very unusual to find. I've never seen one again, But when we all bring our menorahs to my sister's house and we light the candles together, say the blessings. But that menorah is the favorite menorah of the entire family. Every year, another child is awestruck by this. And my husband who's not Jewish, very much appreciated it. So that's that memory. Another memory that's very fond for me is on New Year's Eve. And this is very sentimental. And I, like Elizabeth, could start crying. For 30 years ago, as the ball was dropping, my husband proposed to me on one knee. And every year since then, he asked me to marry him again.
Oh.
After the pandemic, we'll see if he really wants to do that this year. I'll let you know. We've had a lot of together time. And I'd like to leave you with this quote from Alfred Lord Tennyson. Hope smiles from the threshold of the year to come, whispering, it will be happier. Wishing you all a happy, healthy new year. Lisa.
Yes. Thanks, everyone, for sharing your stories. What wonderful stories. Stories of love and hope, fun time, traditions, sweet memories, and holiday cheer. So we want to wish you all a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, a happy Kwanzaa, and whatever you may celebrate this winter season. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and be well.